Now, people suffering from the Flint Water crisis will be getting some relief, thanks to the Michigan National Guard. Now, the National Guard is actually set to arrive in Flint as soon as today to join door-to-door efforts to distribute things like bottled water and other supplies to different residents. Now, these residents are coping with, of course, the city's water crisis over lead-contaminated drinking water. Now, we've done reports on this. The levels of lead in the Flint water were at hazardous waste levels. That's terrible. That's god-awful. And the bad thing, the worst thing about this, is when they were getting this tested and they were bringing this up to the governor, Governor Rick Snyder, and the emergency manager in charge of this, they wrote them off. Oh no, you're lying. You're not being honest. No, you're just making a scene. The water's perfectly safe to drink. Go ahead, drink it up. That's what they did. They didn't take this seriously, and now they have. In fact, Governor Rick Snyder just activated the state's National Guard on Tuesday and requested support from FEMA. Of course, FEMA approved the request and appointed a disaster recovery coordinator to help Michigan, and that's according to Snyder and a FEMA spokesman tweeting about it. Now, here's the thing. I thought Republicans hated FEMA. I guess they hate it until they need it. I mean, you see it over and over again. As soon as a disaster strikes their state, immediately like, oh, FEMA, come save me. Federal government, come save me. I need your help. But when it comes to other states, for example, Sandy relief, they'll vote against it. Like, oh, yeah. Bootstraps. Bootstraps, New Jersey. Here you go. Total hypocrisy. Total hypocrisy. And here's the thing. This wasn't a natural disaster. This was a man-made disaster. And that's the thing. Remember, this whole thing came about when Rick Snyder and his emergency manager said, I know how to save some money. Let's switch it over from Detroit water to the Flint River. Well, the Flint River is essentially a toxic waste dump ground. GM dumps their waste into the Flint River. Who the hell thought that was a good idea? This emergency manager said, don't worry, it'll save us a bunch of money. But want to poison the citizens? We don't care about that. We're going to put something in the water that, of course, makes it so that the water is extremely caustic and strips the lead off the pipes that bring the water into people's homes. They essentially poisoned people's water to save a buck. And now it's a disaster. Now they had to call FEMA about it. Man-made disaster. It's ridiculous. All of that just to save $1. But anyway, according to Reuters, the National Guard will work with state officials and volunteers to hand out bottled water filters, replacement cartridges, and testing kits. Now, that's great. These people need water. They certainly can't drink what they have. You can't shower in that. You can't use that at all. This should have came months ago. This should have came as soon as the first allegations of, hey, my water is discolored and smells rancid. Come check it out. I have samples. Numerous meetings where they said, hey, we've got samples of our water. We've had it tested. The lead levels are enormous. They're toxic. This is toxic fucking water. That should have been the only time. Should have only taken once to bring up this concern and have the state go, oh, damn, we better look into that. Let's put out a warning. Instead, no, they sat on their ass. They put their thumbs in their fucking asses and said, hey, it's safe to drink. You're just lying. You just want attention. Oh, I couldn't get more angry about that. And if you guys aren't angry, you should be. You should be. Now, what's going to get you even more angry is the fact that now Flint is sending out past due water bills. Now, this comes from MLive. This is actually something that I just found, and it was from November, actually. They were sending out notices for water bills. While this was happening, they were saying, oh, by the way, you're past due. They're charging for toxic water. They were charging for toxic water. This couldn't be more of a terrible situation. Now you have a generation of children who grew up in Flint that are going to have education problems with IQ. They're going to have a harder time getting an education. They're going to have a harder time doing normal tasks. There's going to be significant developmental delays in these children and significant health problems the rest of their entire life. This is a debacle. This is an absolute disgrace. This is why Rick Snyder, I don't care. Rick Snyder, I'm going to call for Rick Snyder to resign. You're done. You're done. You've had enough. You've done enough damage to the state of Michigan. I'm sick and tired of seeing my state go to shit. And yeah, it's been to shit for a long time. It already is shit right now. But you certainly didn't help make it any better. You certainly didn't help make it any better. And now you have poisoned children on your hands. You're done. You're done. Snyder needs to get out of office at the very least. He's done. Get him out of here.